What's going on, everybody? Hello and welcome to Criticless Cast. Today we're going to be talking about Lisa Frankenstein, the new 2024 film, the comedy, romance, horror, 80s throwback. This is actually directed by Zelda Williams and is written by Diablo Cody and starring Katherine Newton and Cole Sprouse. So let's get into it. Warning. The following show features reviews from wildly unprofessional critics operating without the supervision of professionals. The thoughts and opinions held by these individuals are not to be taken seriously and do not come from a place of intellectual integrity. This show doesn't reflect the opinions of Criticless or its users. Viewer discretion is advised. What's up? What is up, everybody? Hello and welcome to Criticless Cast, the podcast where we ask, do we even need film critics? And then we review a movie. This is part of our original cluster, our first 3 reviews that we're going to be doing right here at the launch of the channel. And if you want to know more about what Criticless is and what we're all about, I would suggest going back and checking out our Dune review, which will be the first thing we'll drop. And that'll really just kind of give you a big rundown of everything surrounding Criticless and the Criticless cast. So what we're going to do is get straight into the review and get to talking about Lisa Frankenstein. So that means that I need to introduce the usual suspects, which is Mr. Christopher Kaus.
What up?
And Mr. Matt Verlack.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back.
And this is going to definitely be a fun one because I think we are all at the start of this relatively lit. I think Chris definitely is with his 75% of, what was that, vodka and cranberry?
It's just berries.
Oh, it's just berries?
Not the cran variety.
Just the berries?
Just berries.
Okay, perfect. Mm-hmm. So, Lisa Frankenstein, did you guys, coming into this, did y'all know anything about it, what you were getting into?
None whatsoever.
Okay.
Literally zero.
I had a general idea, and I was not excited in any shape or form.
Yeah, he was vehemently against our reviewing of this, which is the exact reason why I said we're reviewing this. And it's really on brand, if you can see with the sign behind us, which I guess everybody kind of does neons to some degree these days. But if you go on criticless.com, you'll see lots of neon happening, especially with our rating scale. So with this, also, earlier I said it was directed by Zelda Williams. Do y'all know who that is?
Robin Williams' daughter.
Right.
Yeah, Chris was quite shocked.
Right.
We were sitting next to each other. He's like, wait.
It's like, I know that name.
Right.
Yeah.
Pointed it out.
Like
I
Zelda
knew.
Williams?
I knew going in. I think you and I might have talked about it or something.
We did. And from what I gathered, this is actually her first feature. So this is a big deal. Super, super cool. Excited for her to, get this opportunity and to choose such a...
Nepotism.
No, not at all.
He's dead. So, it's a hard nepotism. Like, hard mode, difficult.
Nepotism.
All right.
You think that's why she was allowed to do this? I feel like your opinions of this film are already shining through at this point.
I have nothing to say.
So, and also, this is actually written by Diablo Cody, who...
Okay, can't we just say that, why didn't... It's the first 5 minutes, so I can't say the F word.
Okay.
But why didn't my parents name me
Diablo?
Like, what? That's the most hard name.
Right.
Like, do you want nobody to F with you? Because nobody will F with you if your name is Diablo.
You're just like, I'm the devil. That's me.
Especially if
Satan
they speak
incarnate.
Spanish.
I too blame your parents for not naming you that.
I thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Diablo has done some really neat stuff over the years, and a lot of films that kind of line up and make sense for why she's behind this movie.
It's a she.
Yeah. Even better, right? How hardcore. Yeah, so she wrote Juno and Tully and Young Adult and Jennifer's Body. So, yes.
What now?
Yes.
Hold on. Jennifer's Body.
Yes.
Juno.
Yes.
And what else?
Tully, you probably didn't see that
Tully?
one. Yeah.
No, I don't care
but still,
about
and Young Adult, but
Jennifer's Body.
Right.
And Juno.
What? Yeah.
Also, okay, talk about contrasting movies. They don't fit into the same
those two don't as much.
Theme
now, but what's interesting is those two movies smashed together do kind of make this movie.
I'd smash everybody in the all of those movies.
Everyone in the movies. Yeah, so they're in this as well, and Cole Sprouse is one of the twin brothers from Nickelodeon fame, and I guess recently he's the Sprouse that is in Archie, Riverdale. The Riverdale show that was running for a while on CW. I actually liked it. It was really good.
Yeah, never seen it, but yeah.
So,
Yeah, agree.
Haven't
seen that.
Things.
Okay. Well, we're going to get into talking about this. Now, what we normally do is we will do our Rotten Tomatoes scores prediction. So kind of as we talk about is the do we really need film critics aspect of this, right? So what we kind of do is skewer and poke at critics a little bit and try to see if what their opinions and things that they think line up with what general audiences think. So we're going to go ahead and try and predict what the Rotten Tomatoes score is for this movie, and then also try and guess where the Critic List score is sitting. And we have several people that have already reviewed this in Critic List, and this has been out for a little while at this point, so we should be able to hopefully get in the ballpark of where this will stay. So I guess we'll start with you, Chris. What do you think is going to be the Rotten Tomatoes score for this movie? Where are the critics going to land?
Panic. I literally just thought of this because you made me think of it. I'm going to say the first number that comes to mind, if I had like a crystal ball in front of me and I were of some descent from a certain genealogy that specialized in fortune telling. I won't say which one specifically. You can use your imagination. But if I were a fortune teller, I'm going to say 53.
53.
53. For whatever reason, 5-3 comes to mind. It's a good number.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know, I can, yeah.
That's what I'm going with.
So you're thinking that since Rotten Tomatoes is more on a good, bad, yes, no kind of scale, you're thinking that like half-ish of them would like it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
You
right.
got it.
And Matt, where are you? Where are you sitting with this?
I think I would give this, I think the critics will give this a 70%.
70? Okay.
Ooh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
It's a big gap.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to go between you two, and I think we're probably sitting somewhere in the 60 range, maybe like a 62. So I'm around about 10 off from kind of both of you. So, yeah. And as far as Critic List goes, I don't know, Matt, if you've kind of had this spoiled more or less with how active we are in the platform.
I have not.
Okay.
I have kind of, I mean, there was a lot of reviews that dropped for it really close when it came out.
Right.
And it's been pretty quiet since. So
Yeah,
I have
it was
not
active early
looked
on.
it up. I've not really thought about it since then. So I don't.
Where do you put it?
I think our users on Critic List will probably have put this in a low decent.
Low decent.
I
Really?
think that's what they're going to say.
Interesting. I think that there's a good chance that on Critic List, at least, this is actually going to be somewhere in the rad territory. Now, if you're not familiar with our rating scale, we aren't on a traditional school grade rating scale. We have a lot more variety here, and if you're in that middle range of the 50s, that's actually considered more of a decent, like Matt was talking about, which would be more of about a 50-50 chance of you liking it versus just considering it bad if it's sitting in a 50% like Rotten Tomatoes where it would just show a splat. So for us, that would be in the decent range. So Chris, do you think this is going to be a decent too, somewhere in that range? Or higher?
What's our decent range?
Oh, goodness.
Where does
Don't
it
put
go?
me on the spot.
The decent's
See?
I
At least
know.
I don't know and you don't know.
Well,
We're in
and
this
30
together.
to
the real problem is that
I said 53. So
I
that's-
designed and created the scale, and
Oh,
I
no,
can't
so
tell you off
it's
the top of my
40
head.
to 60.
Right, it is. It is.
Oh,
40
okay.
to
So
60,
then
yeah.
it's decent.
Yeah. So you think it's decent? Yeah, I think we're actually going to be in more of the lower rad territory, like almost exactly around where I guess with
Okay.
Rotten Tomatoes. This is like
Yeah.
a 63, 64.
60 to
So
70.
you're thinking a low rad.
Yeah, low rad for Lisa Frankenstein. So, all right, well then I guess really what we need to do now is we're going to go get into our spoiler-free review. So you're safe to hang out, and we're going to talk for just a little bit about if we think that, you could possibly be on board for this, what it's going to, what genre this hangs in and what similar movies there are, and then just our general surface level opinions before we get into the spoiler-free review. So, since I'm already motor mouthing here, I will go ahead and let you guys know what I think. And Matt has been telegraphing a little bit of his opinions here already. Oops. So, I actually really enjoyed this movie. Now, did I love it? Was I over the moon about it? Do I think it's the best thing ever? No. But I think we are in a rad territory for myself. I haven't pinpointed an actual score yet. I've kind of been moving around the critical slider back and forth while we've been talking to try and decide where I sit with it. And I think I'm more in the 60s. I think maybe like a 68. So
Okay.
that's probably where I land with it. I don't think this is the most excellent movie, but it's really on brand. It's super 80s, 90s, retro themed. It's got the music. It's got the vibe. And if you're into, the weird science and those type of 80s classic movies, this pulls, in my opinion, from some of that genre in those types of movies. Mm-hmm. So, Chris, where are you at?
Yeah. Try to back you up here.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's. I don't even know what to say.
What
for
did
this
you
section.
think of it?
Right, you're
Yeah,
that.
on the
no,
rating
well-
scale?
Well, my scale is lower. If we're not even at that point, we're just talking about like who we think would like this really.
Well, and you can
like,
go ahead and give your opinion. It's fine. So, I mean,
Just spoiler free.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of it.
Okay.
It didn't pique my interest. It didn't keep my interest.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say. Oh goodness. So
Like
you
decent
mentioned-
range. You don't think it's in the decent range? Do you think it's lower than that? Are we sitting at like
I mean,
a bogus
my
or a heinous?
53 is kind of close to where I would rank this.
Okay. So decent.
That's
still
decent.
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 It's
Sure.
like you might like this, you might not. You're kind of
Yeah, it was okay.
middle of the road.
Yeah, it was middle of the road for sure. It's not something that I would go back and watch.
Right.
That's my motif of whether I will watch it again or not.
Right.
But it's not something that I would watch again. But I mean, it wasn't. I would not say that it was vehemently bad.
Right.
So yeah.
Awesome. And Matt, so you seem not so hot on this, which you came in guns a-blazing, not wanting to talk
Yeah,
about
I
it.
mean,
So
I
you-
came in not wanting to watch this, and I should have trusted my gut. And I think this movie is in the bogus range.
Ooh.
Maybe not the bottom of the bogus range.
Okay.
Maybe like the upper bogus, but
Right. So
but
like
I will say
30s.
first off, I am not the target demographic for this movie. I'm not a 14-year-old teenage girl.
Are you calling me a 14-year-old teenage girl?
Are you a 14-year-old teenage?
No,
I'll tell you that right now. Yes, Blaine is a 14-year-old teenager.
I mean,
Because in the theater of 20 people, the two people that were cackling the whole time were 14-year-old teenage girls.
I mean, that makes sense. Which, honestly, that's actually, to some degree, a little surprising for me just because of how retro a lot of the humor was for the movie. And just the content in general. A lot of the jokes were very retro-themed jokes.
Yeah, I'm pretty
retro's
sure, not to
cool.
interrupt you,
No, you're good.
I'm pretty sure the people that were laughing
Hmm?
were actually like 60-year-old women.
That
Oh,
makes
you
more
think
sense.
so?
I'm pretty sure. Because there wasn't a whole lot
There
of...
were a couple teenagers in there.
A couple, but I think... I could be wrong, but I think the people that were laughing were
Older women.
older women.
Yeah.
Interesting.
that
Well,
could
and
be.
that makes sense. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't say 14-year-old girls. I mean, I think that there is some demographic to target with that in this movie, but I actually think it's more of like elder millennial women / like younger Gen X, which would make sense for the time period of the movie. And a lot of the humor was very period specific as far as what they were kind of aiming at. So it makes sense. But either way, you're not considering yourself in that demographic. So.
No, I was not the target demographic. Either way, elderly, 6-year-old woman or 14-year-old girl.
Right.
I was not the target for this. And the whole time I was just like, please end sooner.
Oh my God. So it was, you really did not dig this, and I know both of our wives were ecstatic about this movie. They really wanted to see it, which we talk about them being in the target demographic.
Yep.
And, I don't know. I don't think that you'd have to be in that demographic to enjoy this, but I do also think that there is something about Lisa Frankenstein that isn't quite firing on all cylinders. There's something missing, a little bit of a spark to it, something that keeps it exciting and interesting that just
I've got the...
it isn't there.
I've
So
got the
clearly
secret.
you
We can
you
talk
know
about
what
in
the
the
secret
spoiler
formula is.
territory,
So yeah, I mean, you guys mostly can gather where we're sitting with this at this point. So I'd rather go ahead and get into full-blown spoilers now so that we can get into the nitty-gritty of why these guys are not super crazy about the movie and what I liked about it and they did not.
Yeah.
Because clearly there's some gray area there between me and you guys. So obviously I'm going to double down and pretend like I am absolutely in love with this movie because you're both fools.
Not pretend.
All right,
It's
80-year-old lady.
You believe it 100%.
Vehemently. I change it. Most excellent. This is a most excellent movie, at least to 99%.
Yeah. Well, I believe it.
For sure. because it's on brand. All right, well, cool. So, spoilers all the way down from here. Bail out now and come back later after you've seen it if you don't want anything ruined. Or if you feel like you're going to feel like Matt, then just hang around and let us spoil the crap out of this movie for you.
We're going to roast the shit out of this movie.
Hell yeah.
All right, awesome. So, let's get to the shitty gritty here. Y'all let us...
Shitty
Yeah, the
gritty.
shitty gritty. Let me know what you hate about it. One
Matt,
of you.
go
Matt.
ahead.
Because you
Hit
said
me.
you brought the
Yeah,
receipts.
there wasn't like a fucking single likable character in the whole goddamn movie.
Big
The
facts.
only likable character was
Right.
Laffy Taffy.
Yeah.
And even then, she
True.
was kind of like a cocky cheerleader, kind of like out of touch with shit. And the whole time I was like, please don't kill her. That was literally my only thought the whole movie was,
Yep.
So
please don't kill her. I don't
Now-
like anybody else.
let me ask you this. I was initially thinking that when I was watching it. And with it being did you guys feel the parallels to Frankenstein in this movie? Because
None.
you didn't. See, because I did.
None whatsoever.
Well, with the unlikable characters, I mean, with the original story of Frankenstein, really Frankenstein's monster is who and what you like. You don't like Victor Frankenstein, you like the monster. And that is the similar thing in this movie. If there was a likable character, it would have been the movie outside of, or he would be the one in this film that you'd like, right? Or do y'all...
I mean, he was sort of likable, but he also didn't do much.
He murdered
So,
people.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Frankenstein's monster, not Victor Frankenstein.
Right, Frankenstein's monster, so
Right.
the zombie.
Well, she is Frankenstein, right? She's the
Sure.
analog for
Right.
Frankenstein.
Yes.
He is the monster, right?
Yeah.
So I think that the parallels in this actually line up fairly well, and they are our leads. And in that story, there's really not a ton of likable characters outside of the monster. And that is also the case for this movie. Now, it took me about the first half for it to really register because she doesn't become Frankenstein-y until she starts murdering people. Right?
Well, right, but she doesn't even do that.
She
It was-
doesn't murder anyone.
Well, I say she murders people. She assists in the murder and leans into it while he is killing people, right?
She just
Yeah.
encourages him to kill people.
Right.
So she can harvest body parts so he could slowly become more human.
Yeah.
And even for the first murder, the main one, she didn't influence him in any way. Like she didn't. I feel like she didn't say anything about it or like be like, oh, well, yeah, it'd be great if she was dead.
Right.
It was just like something that Frankenstein in this scenario like picked up on.
Or the monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Picked up on. Yes, thank you.
You're
Not Frankenstein.
No.
He's the doctor, the
Idiot.
monster.
Come
The
on.
monster picked
Get
up.
your lore
I'm an
straight.
idiot, I'm
And in this
sorry.
as well, they also do, like, he never had a name. He is labeled the creature in the building.
No,
like,
but it is Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Because when she's doing her,
Monster.
that was literally actually my first thing I didn't like about the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was doing the sketch of the funeral stone.
Yeah.
But her paper was about 2 feet wide,
Uh-huh.
and she was using a foot of it.
Uh-huh.
But the problem was the word Frankenstein is 2 feet long on her paper. So it was either that Frankenstein was half of the word Franken was on one side and Stein was on the other half, or it was like this, where it's like Franken on the top, Stein on the bottom, but that's not how her sketch looked.
Uh-huh. I'm so blown away by
So
this
literally,
very
all at the beginning, I was like,
nitpicky,
this
like-
is wrong.
But he came in ready to hate the shit out of this movie. There was
I'm
no,
just
Matt
telling
is
you,
like
it was
this,
the one.
If you want me to
tombstone.
like
Yeah.
something,
Listen,
I'm not here to like
the
it.
creative coloring of the tombstone. Fuck off! I don't like it. You colored it wrong. Your paper
It
wasn't
was
big enough.
Too brown. We're bringing it
Yeah,
back
you-
to the brown.
Dune reference. Yeah, I mean, literally, Matt's like, she colored it all wrong. Listen, and if there's anything that I don't like about a movie, it's when a person colors in the movie and then they color wrong on the wrong piece of paper at the wrong size of
No,
paper.
what I'm
Disney.
saying is my beef. I have this beef with a lot of movies.
Okay.
Is where they'll do something trying to be edgy, but when you start thinking about it logically, there's no logic behind it.
Oh yeah.
It's
And that was this
creativity,
one.
Matt.
They could have done it on just a more interesting tombstone or something. Instead, they were like, no, we need the grave marker to look cool.
Of course.
But then we also want to do this, but we're not going to make any sense.
I
And
still...
literally, that set the tone for the movie because that was literally the beginning, opening fucking scene of the movie. And I was just like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't line up. My first note of the movie was, this doesn't make sense.
I mean, there's a
saw
lot
him
in this
pull
movie
out
that
his
doesn't make
phone
sense.
And take this down.
Did you? I mean, there's a lot of things in the movie that don't make sense, and this is not one of them that I
That's-
come to.
Sure.
I'm just saying
I
that was
agree
my
with you.
opening act. That
Yeah.
was the what's the part of the meal, the amuse-bouche,
A moosh boosh.
amuse-bouche, whatever
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
called. That's like the taste of
I
the
don't speak
meal.
French.
Literally an opening act for me.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so we're moving on from the coloring to the actual movie. We're
so the next scene.
Oh, Jesus Christ. No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
We're doing one scene at a time.
Yes, we are not doing this.
Creeping through this.
Yeah. All right. Listen. So really, I mean, if we want to get into things not making sense, and really where it kicks off for me is I feel like the creation of the monster was so messy. Like as far as it's just like she gets blackout, all of a sudden lightning. Dude comes to life, and we have Frankenstein's monster. She doesn't create him. There's no interesting story as to why this monster exists. I think that this is one of the biggest shortcomings, honestly, for me in the beginning, was just like, why is this how we get the monster?
I mean, it does say, like, there's a thunderstorm, and that lightning strikes it. So
yeah, green lightning.
A ball of lightning.
True. If we want to bring race into this, it is green-colored lightning.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see color because I'm...
Actually, they say that opinion now is racist, so
it's also a physical impairment, so...
Yeah. Physical? Like money?
Physical? Oh, yeah. No, just he's saying lean into your disability.
Yeah. Just because you can't see colors.
You're colorblind.
Okay, so... we got really sidetracked real quick. What even were we talking about?
The lightning.
Oh, right. Green lightning. Okay, so they do mention it, though. Mm-hmm. So they do say there was a storm. Obviously, it's very flimsy.
Oh, we're right. That's more of what I'm getting at. Just why.
Well, this whole movie, can we just agree?
Yeah.
As much as we may dislike Matt or like Blaine, this movie, it's flimsy.
It's wacky.
We'll just say flimsy is a great place to put it.
Yeah.
Well, we won't put a number on that. But it is...
It's on the flimsy scale.
Flimsy.
It is. Well, and I think... Honestly, because up until about the first half, I was like, I don't know if I'm on board with this, like with how the monster got created.
Right.
But once we get the first kill, I was like, shit, okay, I'm on board. This is actually a little more edgy, a little bit more cool. So it didn't flip for y'all when that happened.
No, it honestly, like, for me, the kills subtracted from it.
Really?
Because I didn't get drawn into the character that they murdered enough to care if they were to die or live. Like, sure, the mom was kind of a bitch. Sure, like, okay.
She was pretty awful. She was going to ship her off to, like, boarding school or whatever, the crazy house.
That was like, the third step.
Right.
So, like, the initial step was just, like, shaming her and kind of being a cunt about it. Like,
right.
Okay. Fine. Should she die for that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, in one of those justifiable murder things, I mean, she's the worst. Which actually, no, I'm completely
Tell
kidding.
me about the justifiable murder. This is more important.
Yeah, it is. No, well, honestly, the more that the movie goes on, I'm like, the mom was right. This bitch is insane.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah,
that's
the mom
what I'm
was right.
saying.
She's certifiable.
Oh, she is.
She's still bad. Like, she still wasn't a good mom.
No.
In the slightest.
Right.
Should she have been murdered? No.
Well, and that's the thing.
It doesn't feed into that, like, yeah, this is good.
Right.
Like,
well, I think that maybe is the point of this movie, and maybe what they didn't get across as well, is that what's going on in this movie is that really we are supposed to see Catherine Newton, who is Lisa Swallows. We're supposed to see her character as insane, right? Like, she's nuts. She has zero remorse about the murder of her stepmom.
Yeah.
She is certifiable, like Matt said. Everything she is doing is insane. Yeah. We are not necessarily... If you like Lisa's character, you like Lisa because she's insane, because she's a edgy, weirdo goth girl. Yeah. That's why you like her, because she's nuts.
Right, and she's doing those things that people kind of wish they could do. I think that's like what's supposed to draw people in. Is like, oh, she murdered the people that were wronging her.
Sure.
Or and then she was taking parts to build the perfect man, even though she didn't acknowledge he was the perfect man. Until he was basically...
Because he's not. Let's be
complete.
Fair.
No.
Well, even then he wasn't complete. He just magically grew a tongue.
Right. He did magically grow. There was a lot of just magicalness
in
this. Yeah.
Like...
Well, and that's the thing. It's, I mean, that's obviously jumping ahead, but chopping off the dick...
We're in spoiler zone.
We are. We are. I think that was fantastic. I freaking did laugh. Did y'all not laugh at the dick chop?
Okay. No, I did laugh in this movie. I'm not saying I didn't laugh in this movie. I just
Okay.
don't think this movie overall is a good movie.
Right.
There we go.
That there were some times I chuckled, and the guy snoring in front of me was hilarious.
He was fucking passed out. He was straight up asleep. Yeah.
Yeah, halfway through the movie, the dude was just
How
snoring.
old are we talking here?
65 plus.
50s,
Okay.
60s, I would say.
So like we said,
Matt's more generous than I am.
this is not for Gen X men. This is a Gen X ladies, movie, clearly.
Yeah.
Because you guys got the dude passed out. But, I mean, God, yeah, there's a lot that's kind of messy about this movie. But I do think it's creative. I do think it's fun. And if you view it through the lens of this kind of being like an edgelord goth girl's wet dream, that is what Lisa Frankenstein is. And to me, it felt like that is what the movie was striving to be.
Sure.
And I don't think it failed in that part. Now, I do think that it does have some shortcomings as far as just making wild, connections to things or things happening that just, even though this is an unrealistic movie, it's like you aren't giving me enough of the meat and potatoes here to explain why some of this ridiculous shit is happening.
Yeah.
I'll say that I don't think that the movie failed. Like, I think that it accomplished what it wanted to accomplish.
Right.
Now, whether or not I think that is good,
Right.
nobody gives a shit. Because who cares what I think
that is
good
very
or
true.
bad.
It's very true.
But I think it did accomplish what it wanted to accomplish. So
you're saying that this movie was a great success, is what you're telling me here.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly it. It is a great success. In
For
certain
edgelord
circles.
goth girls.
And yeah. Yes. Because, okay, so I love Robin Williams.
Right.
He is my childhood.
Right.
The vast majority
I thought you were going
of
to say something about a vagina.
the
He is
vagina
the vagina
of
of my
childhood.
childhood. Robin
is,
Williams.
which I have seen my own birth. We won't get into that. But that is,
I've heard about that more than once.
it
Yeah.
probably is. That could be the vagina
If
of my
you
childhood.
were part of the Cow's household, it was family viewing night was just family births. It was you put it on the VHS.
Slap a family video on
A flaming
or
video.
it could be a family video. No, so I don't think this movie was necessarily a failure, but I personally don't enjoy it.
Right.
I feel like Matt,
Yeah.
you probably don't enjoy it either.
Well,
It's just not our vibe, right? Like, I'm not saying it's bad, but it
I
wasn't.
think it was bad.
Okay, Matt thinks it's bad. I also think it's bad, but
You said decent. You said decent.
I'm going
You said
to
decent.
say
And
that-
actually,
Oh
a
my
moment
God.
ago, you said it was a wild success.
You said it was wildly successful.
You did.
Amongst tweens and old ladies.
I goaded you into saying that.
Okay.
You
You put
did.
words
Well,
in your mouth.
Like I said, there's a lot of
He
vodka
puts a lot
involved
of
in
things in my
tonight.
mouth.
He does.
And it's I would not say that. No, I would say it's bad, but
There we go.
I do respect people that enjoy it.
Well,
Look-
so that's
look
my
at me.
thing. I think this movie, like Our Wives, for example, will probably get a lot more enjoyment out of this movie than we did.
Right.
And I think that's what it comes down to. Is this will hit for its target audience, which isn't us necessarily.
Unless you're
but
me and
unless you're
the
Blaine.
spirit of a
Oh,
millennial
Blaine does
woman.
like
Millennial
it.
lady.
Yeah, we have to remember that.
But that's the thing is I think
Feel
the
attacked.
majority of people, I think like
Good.
if when our wives watch it, when my
Yeah.
sister-in-law watches it, like
Right.
they're going to be like, yes, I relate to a lot of the things in this movie,
I think they will.
which is great for them.
Good for
It's
them.
not great for me having to sat through this movie and then talk about it.
Yeah, and I will say there is the humor. I chuckled a decent amount of this movie.
Right.
And I would relate it to like a poop and dick kind of humor.
Right.
Where like,
For dudes.
yeah, except for you would flip it on its head and it's the other side of the gender.
Right.
I almost said something controversial. For feminine, so it was a lot of like feminine-based humor of like periods, douches,
Oh yeah. There was a weird.
vibrators.
The weird joke about having to change my pad. I was like, who?
Right, so it's,
That was just
it's,
out of blue.
Yeah.
It's
Or out of red, should we
literally
say.
dick and poop jokes
For girls.
for women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
For
and that
people
makes.
who identify as the female.
No, we're not playing those
We're not
games
playing
around
those
here.
Right
games.
here. I'm looking at you right now.
Chris is
who
trying
identified-
so hard.
Chris is gonna get
Yeah.
canceled.
Mr. Persona non grata.
Are you trying to take a poop over there?
Yes.
No, I'm agreeing.
Yes. So really, I mean,
It's your choice.
it's God. Yeah, this movie is a complicated thing because I think from what we said from the get go is that it does have a target audience. You guys don't feel like you fit in that. I realized that there were stuff in this that I wasn't necessarily going to relate to, but like I said, for whatever reason, right when it hit the first kill for me, and he killed somebody, I was like, okay, like this is actually edgy. It's Eddie. This is very Eddie. It is edgy, and this cranked up the fun. Like there's a level of gore now. There's a level of suspense to this where it's like, oh, are they like, she's clearly snapped, she doesn't care, she's on board for killing, they're burying people in the cemetery, we're chopping off limbs. And because that was the thing also, is that, you know, she chops off the first limb and it's just an ear, and then you're kind of like, oh, well, that's weird, why didn't they take more limbs? He clearly needs more limbs to
That's
than
literally
that.
what crossed my mind.
Right. And so then they start killing, and that was, I think, just them writing their way into being able to kill more people. Right.
And so that's my thing with this movie, though. If they had just tightened up some of the dialogue, tightened up the story, made things make sense, like she took a sip of an alcoholic drink or a spiked drink, and she went from being completely sober to being the most fucked up ever.
Right.
It's not how drugs work.
Okay, listen. I'm gonna rewrite
Okay.
the creation of the creature in Lisa
ready.
Frankenstein. All right. So the actual plot of Lisa Frankenstein is that the random lightning storm on the night that she happens to get crunk, it brings the zombie to life, right? Because that's what he initially is.
Sure.
Now, what if what happened was that Lisa Frankenstein, or Lisa Swallows, she gets crunk. Gets on whatever they gave her. She then goes to the grave where the dead man is that she is in love with. She digs up his body. She takes him home, and she puts the dead body into the malfunctioning tanning bed that we all know is magical, but she's fucked up on drugs. And so she takes his body, drags it home, throws it in that, brings him to life, and she is the actual Frankenstein versus some random lightning storm bringing the monster to life. Fixes a lot of the problems just in the beginning of the movie for me alone.
Yeah, with a different tombstone.
And
For me, it's like it's the difference of eating jalapenos or swallowing a pill.
okay,
Like
it still doesn't fix the movie.
they're both gonna make you shit.
What pill? Does
I was
every
wondering
pill
where you were
make you
going with
shit?
that.
Well,
What
no,
kind?
there's
Do we need a
specific
specific pill?
Could be everybody, but it's probably specific. Yeah, no, it's just like it's two heads of the same coin,
Right.
two sides
Yeah.
of the
Yes.
same
Yeah.
coin, to accomplish the same goal. It's like.
Right.
That won't redeem the movie,
The movie
by
as a
any
whole.
means.
Right, but I'm
Like,
saying if some of these plots, would it have fixed the movie for you if some of these, like, kind of, I don't even know if we should call them plot holes as far as just more of just kind of bad writing, right? Like, it's just, there were better ways to tell this story where you could fix some of these little things, take the exact same amount of time to make the movie, and it ends up being better. Where it's like, Diablo is a successful writer. She's done some really good stuff. And for whatever reason, the script was lacking here as far as the actual storytelling element. Now, I think some of the humor really hit. I think the acting, like Catherine Newton is great as Lisa. Like, she's insane. She does that really well. I think she is a very appealing actress that is fun to watch. And then Cole, he did a pretty good job as the zombie, but there's like weird things with the zombie where clearly every time he went into the tanning bed, it made him a little bit better, right?
Right, brought more
alive.
Closer
to
human.
real life.
Right, but it's like, but the first time that really makes a big jump is it's like he goes from like borderline paralyzed limping around to they're dancing around. And you're just like, wait, hold the phone. Why is he all of a sudden this much better just from replacing a hand? And it's like little story beats like this, if they were fixed in the movie, I think it would have fixed a lot of things about the story as a whole.
Yeah. I feel like that's kind of a small portion of it as far as the plot goes. Like, I feel like there's more issues with the plot than just that. because it's just like, why do I care? It's like, I'm not trying to be like facetious or, any kind of way about this. It's just like, it doesn't draw me in.
Right.
To be like, she's supposedly in love with this statue. She says these words of like, oh, I want to be with you, or what's the words that she says? It's something about remember.
Like, right. She's in love with him.
It's something along the lines of like, I only want to be
She's in love with the
alive
idea.
Yeah.
Right.
And then like out of nowhere, after she has a psychedelic trip with something she drinks, which just
Still trying to puzzle that one out.
doesn't work. But that doesn't matter. Like, that's literally inconsequential. It doesn't matter at all. And then he comes to life with a lightning bolt. The media's there saying that like something happened in the tomb, or the graveyard rather.
Right.
It just, none of it fits together in a great cohesive way.
Right.
It doesn't come together in a good story. Like, I laughed through a lot of this movie because there are funny, chuckleable things.
Sure.
Just made that up. Chuckleable.
Yep. Trademark.
But it doesn't draw me. Like, I don't care about the story at all. I don't care about, like Matt had said, like, I don't care about any of these people. They don't draw me in any way. Like, I feel like you had mentioned, Blaine, that like the first killing is what triggered you to enjoy it. Is what I'm picking up. Is that what you had said?
Yeah.
I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, you're right. The
I'll
first
put
kill.
my dick in your mouth, but not words.
Of course. Yeah. The first kill is kind of what triggered my enjoyment, and then as they continued to do it, once I realized that it was just an ear they took, I was like, oh, there's going to be more bodies. Yeah. So that's why I liked it more by the end.
Okay. So for me, like, I felt that the killings were pointless. Like, they didn't draw me in enough to make me feel strongly about these characters that I felt that their killings were justified.
Right.
Their mom, the mom was a cunt. Sure. Like, she was a bitch. Whatever.
The gropey science partner, he was a piece of shit, but...
Oh, no. Like, the mom. I'm talking about the mom right now.
Right.
Yes. The gropey scientist... nerd. That's probably my height. I won't hate to admit.
He was a shorty, bro. Like, she was a foot taller than that dude.
Damn short. But the mom, like, sure, she's a bitch, but does she deserve to die?
Right. So I honestly actually disagree with you on that one.
Oh, okay.
I think she did deserve to die. She was a cunt.
Yeah.
And like the sciencey guy, not that he didn't deserve to die, but it was just like we didn't get enough build up to it. It was just that I'm your science partner and I'm groping you because you're under the influence. Yeah. I wish we had seen him more and gotten more of the he's a fucking creep vibe. And instead it was just like one scene, and then the next time we see him, she's leading him to his death.
Right.
And I was just like, why did we not have more of a build up of these side characters that they were going to kill? So we did have more of an emotional attachment. You know, like it would be more of a, oh yeah, that fucker deserves it. Kill him next.
Right. Where we just had one scene with the nerd, and then he gets killed, and one scene with the mom, and she gets killed, and also even like the cop that shows up at the graveyard, they just get chucked into the grave, they don't get killed, and you're just like, that cop's
gonna nothing wrong.
No. Well, and also she's
just a cop.
She's just gonna crawl out of the grave. But that's why I say but that's why I say a lot of this, I think that this movie is meant to not be taken seriously. Sure. It is very aware of its goofiness. It's very aware of not making sense. But the problem is that is a very fine line to ride, and it sounds like for you guys, at the very least, it didn't ride that line well enough to make it land. And I think a lot of that is connected to some of the script issues. But all in all, I mean, by the end of... So, we've talked about a lot of the things going forward throughout this movie, but when we get to the end, we basically get to a Romeo and Juliet style ending. Right. And we get, Lisa deciding to off herself because basically they've done so much screwed up crap. There's no getting out of it. And he gets to survive. And they have now brought Lisa back from the dead. He is officially speaking somehow because, like Matt said, he grew a tongue apparently. Fluently speaking after the lightning tanning bed getting burnt to the ground, so he clearly couldn't have gotten in the tanning bed. And then also, how did they bring her back to life if we don't have the tanning bed or the magic green lightning?
I just fucking groaned at that point.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, none of that makes sense.
It makes
because
sense.
the whole thing that brought him back to life was, like you said, the green lightning.
Right.
For that specific storm.
Yeah.
But they kind of just, like, skip over that completely whenever it comes to her coming back to life. So.
Honestly, I wish she hadn't come back to life. I wish it was just him sitting there reading, and I would have been like, cool. The
With
monster
her
survived.
sister.
No, nobody. Nobody. Just him sitting there
That
by
actually
himself.
would have been great with the sister.
Because the sister was the one shining point. She started off kind of bitchy.
She kind of sucked.
But as trauma increased, she became better.
Agreed. Yeah, that would have actually been a fun turn at the end.
True.
Yeah.
True.
I liked her.
I would accept that more than freaking
Yeah.
Lisa all bandaged up somehow, but
'Cause of
still
the
alive.
burns.
She just escaped again? I guess she never died. She just escaped.
No,
no, she died.
She died. He brought her back.
How?
She came back
no one
because
knows.
green lightning.
The green lightning. That's the thing, and that's I think is the biggest problem. Like we keep touching on, is a lot of the writing is really touch and go, and you're either going to be just okay with that and be like, this is just a weird nonsensical movie, or it's not, and you're going to be in one of those two camps. Period.
Right.
And for me, so one of the things that we've had a lot of people ask, well, a couple people ask about with Criticless is with our scale, we have our themes ratings, which is like language, violence, nudity, political bias, and family friendliness. Now, we've had people want more of these, one of which being entertainment value. So with an entertainment value slider, it's like you can go from 0 to 100 or however we want to do that slider. And I think for me, the entertainment value is high even if the quality of the film is lacking in certain areas. I had fun, it was enjoyable, but this movie is fucking stupid.
Yeah, whereas the guy sleeping in front of me probably would give it like a 0 on the entertainment value.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Look, if something can make you sleep, that's pretty high entertainment.
Right.
Sometimes it's worth something. Maybe
This guy, he doesn't need melatonin. You know, he's just going to put on Lisa Frankenstein.
Go see Lisa Frankenstein.
Yeah, conk out. He's probably going to buy it.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
Like, I would rate this movie 53. I think that's what I said for my rating.
Yeah, I think so.
That's what I would go with as a whole,
Right.
taking it as its whole. Entertainment value, it would probably be in the 60s.
Right.
I did chuckle a good bit. Would I watch it again? No, never. I would never watch it again ever. Because it's
Not even with like a really smoking hot goth babe who's really into this movie.
Like she wanted to watch it.
She wants to watch it.
Look, I'm such a giver.
You are.
It could just be you.
I'd be like, Chris.
It doesn't have to be a smoking hot goth.
Right. I just had to put on a little bit of mascara and like,
Fishnets.
bat my eye. Oh, okay.
Thighs.
Yeah, fishnets.
I'm all about the thighs.
Yeah.
Oh!
Just what's
You know what else bothered me in the movie?
What bothered you, Matt?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
They kept calling her a slut.
right.
For no reason.
She's a virgin.
They were like, "You're a slut!" Why? Because she was wearing not revealing clothing.
Yeah,
it was
right.
like, oh, it's fishnet. You're a whore.
Right. I think what was going on with that and everyone calling Lisa a whore is that it was supposed to play into that, high school stereotype where it was like back in the day, Chris and I, we used to look like surfer bros with the long shaggy hair that flipped out, the mushroom head, and we got regularly labeled as stoners. And so
We did smoke straws.
we
Plastic
did
Yeah.
Sea Dune as well.
See, doing a review for what to do with plastic straws.
Yeah, and it's not to smoke them. But yeah, so it's kind of, I think they were leaning into the stereotype and thing of like, oh, she's dressing in these sexy outfits and therefore she is a massive slut.
Yeah.
It was just heavy-handed.
It was.
They could have had people whispering, which they did sometimes, but like the blatant just being like, people like, slut.
Right.
She's only been doing this for 3 days. And It was
Right.
literally her sister's clothing who was
Right.
the
The
leader, the
actual
cheerleader.
slut.
That's
Right.
why. That's why I think it is like a play on scenarios or
Right.
however you want to put it, because like all of that clothing she had borrowed from her sister.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think it is kind of a.
They're
Perception.
really
Yeah.
leaning into stereotypes with this movie. Like they really, it wears everything on its sleeve. It knows it's stupid. It knows it's doing extreme stereotypes of parents. I mean, even like the deadbeat dad who like literally cares if no one dies. Like his wife died, doesn't care. He's just ready to go to like Chili's or wherever he's talking about going to. Like I don't know what he said, Showmars or
Was it TGI?
TGF.
No,
it was somewhere.
Something.
Yeah, some restaurant. It's like clearly the dad doesn't care if people get murdered, and so I mean, it is very self-aware. So that's the thing. It's either going to resonate with people and have a high entertainment value, or it's not. I mean, it's goofy and dumb.
Can I just say this feels okay?
No, go ahead.
You could.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
We want to hear it. We do wanna hear it.
I'm going to say that this is I'll say shitty. We can just say lesser than version. A shitty version of Warm Bodies.
Right. I thought of Warm Bodies too because I think Warm Bodies is phenomenal. I love that movie.
100 times better than this movie.
Yes, it is.
With almost the exact same plot.
It really is fairly similar, and I think if you like this, then definitely watch Warm Bodies because you're probably going to be over the freaking moon about it. Now, Matt also does not like Warm Bodies. Is that correct?
Sure, yeah, and that
is
makes
true.
sense.
I don't
if you don't
really
like this
care
movie,
for that movie either.
You may not like that one.
Right. So, but I like Warm Bodies. I like this fairly well.
It doesn't even. I feel like how much I like one or the other doesn't matter in this stance. Where I'm saying that Warm Bodies is 100 times better than this movie. They fit the same stereotype.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how I feel about either one of them.
It does. It does to me, Chris.
Oh.
It matters to me.
Right. Well, I
matters to me too. That's why
like
I'm
Warm
here.
Bodies better.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's fine.
And I think that it does this genre better.
I agree. I mean, honestly, I'm just a sucker for weird, culty 80s shit. And that's part of why I like this. I mean, that is just me being honest about that. And it's like, it's just a preference thing.
Yeah.
Now,
this also it makes me think of Edward Scissorhands. Just want to throw that out
it
there.
is kind of
it's like those three
yeah.
movies. Those three like come together.
Right, like a
as
Weird Science, a Warm Bodies, that is a good one too.
Yeah.
I think that they all fit in that cluster. So really now, guys, I think we should go ahead and get into the Rotten Tomatoes scores reveals and see what Rotten Tomatoes critics actually thought about this, and then also our audience and how many people actually reviewed this thing already.
Let's do it.
All right, cool. So with Rotten Tomatoes, I have not seen these scores, so I'm just now pulling it up. The official Rotten Tomatoes score is a 49%.
It me, brother.
It's Chris one.
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes scored a 49%. So do you think that this is a justified score?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously I do because I would rank it around 53, which
I think it's a bit high.
Now, here's the... You think it's high.
Jesus.
49. No.
I think it makes sense that half of critics essentially like this, especially with how their rating scale works. Sure. Now, with Critic Lists, we have currently 15 people have reviewed it. So, and Rotten Tomatoes was out of 172 critics. But with our audience currently, it is a decent amount for a low-key movie. With our critical score, we're at a 70%. So it's in the rad territory.
Yeah.
So,
in rad.
which is where I was assuming it was going to be, is in the rad. And actually, even bigger surprise is the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is an 81%. It's even higher than the critical score.
Yeah.
Which kind of isn't a surprise to me. The audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is really weird, and I don't really trust it ever.
Yeah.
But the same for their critic score. I think that just this good bad scale doesn't work with how you critique things because there is no gradient there.
Yeah.
Right.
So, with that being the case, I was going to look and see if there were any critics that really either overly praised this or bombed it. But honestly, half of them liking it and hating it are not a huge surprise. I was really hoping I could spot somebody that we personally know on this critic list since... Critic List. That's interesting. It's a little similar to our name here. But yeah, it sounds like it's a very 50-50 thing. I'm not even going to get into the nitty-gritty of reading these on this movie just because I think that this is pretty predictable.
Sure.
And in regard to Critic List, I was looking to see if anybody just full-blown bombed this thing, and we did. We had Enter the Nightmare, and we had Banjo Sandwich, who is one of our very active folks as well, and he did a spoiler review.
They're in my camp.
Right,
Very
they are.
Nice.
They are. They gave it a bogus. And so Banjo Sandwich actually said, this was not a comedy I enjoyed. It had its parts, but overall, it was no Edward Scissorhands, Matt. There you go. Or a Beetlejuice.
I promise you I did not read that review.
Right. And it says, if you want a fun rom-com goth fest, this is not the film I would give my left hand or nuts for. So
fits into the movie.
Good job,
I appreciate
Banjo.
it.
I like it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he, and he did rate this as far as, all of the themes. So overall, with our themes in Critic List, I think I mostly agree with this. As language, there's a bit, violence is a bit more, nudity is a bit, and then political bias is none, and it's not family friendly. So as far as with nudity, obviously there is a silhouette of a penis. So I guess that puts you in.
And we see some side boob.
Side boob?
I'm pretty sure, do we not?
I saw it today, and I don't remember side boob, and I would remember side boob.
Yeah.
Just saying.
He would.
I never forget the side boob.
Yeah.
Any boob, really. Every boob burned into my memory, good or bad.
Top, bottom,
Cataloged.
side.
All the boobs,
Look,
I know 'em.
upside, downside.
Yeah, all the boobs.
Slideways.
So, yeah, I mean, I think I'm actually pretty happy with our critical score. I'm curious to see, obviously,
It's about to go dope.
as the three of us do it, it will change some. And then also, obviously, as you guys hopefully will, when this comes out, streaming at home, y'all can jump in and review this because there's probably a lot of y'all that aren't going to watch our spoiler review until it comes out. So, yeah, I think that's it on Lisa Frankenstein, guys. Is that?
Yeah.
One thing I'm going to say.
Okay.
Going into this initially, I was a virgin.
Yes?
Never had sex.
Never?
Never heard of this movie.
Okay.
I thought for a good hour into this movie, at least, could be more, that it was called Anne Frankenstein.
Ah.
Which
Anne
I
Frank.
think that would be a much better premise for a movie of like some chick in an attic. But there's also a zombie,
And
so
there's
it's
Nazis.
Anne. Yeah. Look, who doesn't like
I mean,
Nazis?
Nazi zombies instantly makes this better.
As the antagonist.
Okay.
You didn't
I
let
was-
me finish.
Okay.
So Anne Frankenstein
Yes.
should be and could be a fantastic movie.
I would
So
actually
let's set this
watch
up.
Anne
Yeah.
Frankenstein.
Quentin Tarantino,
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
hearing this,
Yes.
maybe make a movie about Anne Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Because you're
watch
an
that.
I dig
addict.
that. Anything with Nazi zombies getting killed would be
Look,
excellent.
Yeah.
He's already done movies about Nazis.
He
so-
has. And I can't wait for
Done
like
a-
a
done a
30-minute monologue about said
And feet.
and feet.
Whatever
pics.
you were to say.
Yeah,
Just and
feet and feet.
And-
Yeah, monologues and feet if Tarantino is involved.
Yeah.
But guys, I think this is going to actually wrap up our Lisa Frankenstein review. Now, the one thing that we do at the end of every show, normally our shows aren't going to be just review only. We cover news, we cover pop culture, just stuff that's going on and what's streaming. But this show is review only since this is kind of our initial batch of what we're launching with. But what we do at the end of every review is we do a send-off song because we like across the board, and Critic List is going to continue to spread outwards as far as the genres and things that we meddle in. And so, obviously, music is not coming next per se, but one of the big things that our users have started doing actually is since we have YouTube linking with your reviews, if you have a paid account or a content creator, they are actually bundling songs with their reviews, which is really fun. So you can go in, you can review the movie, and then with Lisa Frankenstein, I'm sure, Chris, you could think of some kind of 80s song to tether to this movie. Wasn't there one that, wasn't it called like The Promise, that was in the beginning of this movie?
Oh, yeah. No, it's actually in the movie. Like,
Yeah.
it's... And I could have swore it was like the Scorpions. It was some like 80s band. I thought it was forever, but it's not. But
Right. So
yeah.
Chris would, with his review, I'm calling it now. He's going to drop The Promise in his YouTube video. But so we're going to do send-off songs, which is where we just send you guys off with a song for the day, something new to listen to or check out. And I didn't do anything specific to this movie at all.
Okay.
As we did with Dune, we kept it pretty well. Matt and I kept it
Accidentally.
critically
Yeah.
specific. But I'm actually going to do a song. The song that I'm going to recommend is by Goldie. Boutilier, I think is how you say her last name. I'm going to guess about that. But Goldie B. Boutilier, I think that's
JB.
right. And she has a song called Pretending. It's really good. This is just a super cool vibe to this song. She's tinkering with some retro vibes here, but not like 80s, 90s retro. Something a little different. I'd say check it out. I don't even want to spoil it, but listen to it. It's really good, which I've gotten into. There are a lot of really up-and-coming just kick-ass chick vocalists and stuff right now, and she's one of them. She's very good. So I guess, Chris, what's your very Lisa Frankenstein specific song for today?
It's Anne Frank.
Oh, Anne Frankenstein.
Okay, so listen to me real close. We're getting in close. Intimate. Can you hear me? Oh, shit. All right, well, then I'll just talk normal. I was trying to get it in. Okay. We're talking about Kyle Brew.
Kyle Brew.
Kyle Brew. I think I've done another song of his because he has...
Way back in the day, back when we did Critically
Yeah,
Aroused.
it's probably 6 months.
Yeah, in a
or
previous
plus
season.
ago.
It's been a couple years.
Yeah,
So.
but this song is Marlboro Man, is the name of the song by Kyle Brew.
Kyle
And
or Cal?
Kyle.
Kyle, like K-Y-L-E?
Yeah, like Kyle.
That
That does
not
not
the same
help.
That's how
thing.
everybody says
It
it.
literally does not. No one says Kyle that way.
All right, well, agree to disagree. But,
Okay.
Kyle Brew.
Okay.
It is a what I would imagine it as is a campfire side country. You just wrangled a bunch of cattle.
Uh-huh.
You're sitting by a campfire,
Uh-huh.
and this motherfucker, Kyle,
Yeah.
fucking Kyle.
Kyle's.
First of all,
right.
terrible name. Hate it for you, bud. You make great music, but a Kyle brings out a guitar at a campfire
Ooh.
and
It's
starts
getting worse.
singing, "Oh no," but it's good.
Any guy that carries around a guitar. That's why I never brought mine around. Yeah. Cool.
No, it's
And
it's
Marlboro Man's
really
the name
good.
of the song,
Marlboro
right?
Man. Yeah,
Okay,
it is a campfire country song. Like you're wrangling some cows.
Nice.
It's a little sad because, yeah,
'Cause
that's
you're
what
it's
cowboys
country.
do.
You're right. Cowboys
Country.
are sad.
We
They got to
sad.
cry around the fire.
Yeah,
Of course.
I'm including myself in this.
Yeah.
We're sad.
We're sad.
Good.
We're
You're
sad.
clearly a
Sad
cowboy. If I've
cowboys.
ever seen a cowboy,
Look at me.
looking at you, that's a cowboy. So Matt, not being a cowboy and being whatever you are.
So my cowboy song of the week
Ooh.
is called "If I Were the Devil"
If you were.
by Colby Acuff.
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 Colby Acuff. If I were the
And
devil.
this is a gothic country song.
Cool.
And so he's very singer-songwriter, it's just him and his guitar, and it's just like a little story he tells about like if he was the
devil.
what the devil would do if he was real
Right.
and like in the world.
Right. You don't believe in the devil, Matt? Are you denying his existence?
No,
If-
hail Satan.
The devil
Obviously.
were a
Oh,
real thing.
Obviously, hail Satan.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh gosh.
Okay.
You know.
If there's anything you learn about this podcast, you're going to learn that someone is going to get smited, and it's probably going to be Matt.
I will be smote.
Yeah, he will be smoted.
I'll be smoted.
All right, before these guys get any more off the rails, we're going to end this thing right now. Thank you so much for enjoying us. It's been a blast. Make sure to go check out our Dune review, or actually you can also go forward and check out our Vanilla Sky review, because from time to time we're going to be talking about movies that were hated by critics and loved by audience, or vice versa. And this is going to be one of those. So we'll let you kind of guess which is the case, which a lot of folks did not even see Vanilla Sky. This is an older one, and this is going to be a real fun review. So make sure to go check out Dune and Vanilla Sky on our channel, and go like, subscribe, all those fun things, and we will see you next time. Thanks.